best part of, what's that, 28 laps.
Yeah.
Max Verstappen holds off a fire-breathing dragon in Lando Norris, who's got an ostensibly quicker car. That's not bad going, Gay, from this Max fella. He's not too bad, this Mr. Verstappen fella, Peter. Will win a couple of championships if he keeps his nose clean, eh?
I was absolutely convinced Lando was going to beat him. I couldn't see any way in the world he wouldn't finish second in that race with Max in the car as it was with those older tires. And yet Max managed to keep P2. And he should feel great about that. I personally feel sick that he wasn't able to take the race to George had he done the correct thing, or had the team done the correct thing and started them on mediums. But having made that mistake and obviously not got the lead into the first corner, which was never going to happen in my opinion, he then did a good job on those soft tires to extend the stint for about as long as he did. But the race was over then. The only way he could have recovered from that would have been if there'd been some safety cars, or if he'd managed to continue with that on a very slow race pace, extend the softs so long that he could run maybe mediums the back end of the race. But that was a big ask. And so, the minute he didn't get the lead, which was no surprise, the race was over for Max Verstappen, to be honest. So that was a great shame. But then again, we saw this brilliant exhibition of defense from him. So at least we had that.
When Max finds himself in these difficult positions, it almost brings out the best in him, right? That's when you see Max's ability, when he hasn't got the car, or when he's struggling with the upshifts over the course of a 62-lap Singapore Grand Prix. That's when you see just how good Max is and can be. Speak to me very quickly about this soft compound tyre choice, Peter, because you said on your review that you disagree and you think it was a bad decision. If I play devil's advocate for a second, surely, yeah. I mean, if you want to win the Euro Millions, as implausible as that might be in probabilistic terms, surely you've got to buy yourself a lottery ticket. Do you not think that Red Bull gave Max the best opportunity by putting him on softs, invest in turn one PLC, and then if you don't get it done, you don't get it done?
Well, I see the logic of putting him on softs to get a slight advantage from the dirty side of the grid. But bear in mind the difference between the soft and the medium on the same bit of road, not clean or dirty, was 1.6 meters, and that he's 8 meters behind George, and it's 6 seconds before they hit the brakes for the first corner. You're basically saying to Max, okay, Max, you've got two options for the race. Strategy one is we'll put you on softs. It'll help you get off the dirty side of the grid. And if you get in front of George, there's a reasonable chance you could win the race. But remember, the softs are going to go off. He's on mediums, and he's still going to be pretty quick back end of your stint. And there's half a chance he's going to be able to get you. But at least you can be racing him like that. Or we put you on the mediums, so you're on the same footing as the McLarens and George and Antonelli, and you can take the race to all of those at any point of the race because you're basically going to be on the same strategy. But you might have a problem off the line because you're on the dirty side of the grid. Maybe Piastri will get you, but you'll be able to race him because you have the same compound and the same strategy. And we know we've got a very, very good car on mediums, and we know we've got very good tire management now in that setup. Which do you want? I can't believe he wouldn't have taken option B. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not even suggesting that it was Max's choice, or it was, I presume the strategy department made that decision. But for me, you've got, how many laps is the race? 57 or something?
62.
62, okay. So he's got 61 laps of racing on parity with the same tyres as everybody else, mediums, which the Red Bull's really good on. Or he's got one lap where he can maybe get the lead, and if he doesn't, the race is gone.
Yeah.
Which would you take? I just did not understand that. Okay, they could also have said, and there's half a chance we're going to have a safety car or two. Look at the number of safety cars. There's only been one race before this where there's been no intervention. So, but can you bank on that now? Obviously not.
No.
We've had quite a lot of races without safety cars. So to me, I just don't understand. They had a great race car on mediums there and a great race car on hards, obviously. And yet they put him on softs. Yeah. And he was never, ever going to pass George. Now, okay, he was second. He was ahead of Oscar, and he was potentially, therefore, ahead of this first corner accident between Oscar and Lando, even though he did get hit by Lando. But I'd still rather have seen him on mediums racing Oscar and being up there with them with the right tires at the right time, because this is Max Verstappen we're talking about. We're not talking about a normal racing driver. We're talking about a very, very good racing driver. And if he's on the same tires, I think he would have been very near George, may not have beaten him, but I think he might have been in a position to push George into a mistake or something happened. It certainly would have been close the whole way if he'd been on mediums. As it
Yeah.
was on softs, we just, it was just a race of defense really from lap one,
Yeah.
which is a great shame. Great shame for the fans, great shame for everybody that wanted to see a good Grand Prix. And we didn't get it because of that decision. And it's not the first time they've made that decision like that. What happened in Spain? I still can't believe that. And here's another point, just to go back to Singapore. He didn't even have a new set of softs anyway. He was starting on used softs. Everybody else at the back of the field, all the rabbits at the back that went for softs, at least they all had sort of 3 new sets of softs because they were all out in Q1. But there's Max on a used set of softs. Now, I don't know what the stats are between a new set of mediums and an old set of softs, but I'd be willing to bet that 1.6 meters probably down to 1.3.
Yeah, it's a good shout. It's a good shout.
And don't forget the tire warming now is not as good as it used to be. So the tires wouldn't have been as hot as in the old days. So even less reason for him to have been able to get George into turn one. And he didn't do it just to mitigate against maybe Oscar getting him. He did it because they wanted to get him in front of George.
Yeah.
And that was the wrong call. It was a sort of knee-jerk, cliche call based on it's impossible to overtake around Singapore. Well, I don't buy that. And I think, put another way, if Max had got the lead from George, he would have then been on the softs. And then you can imagine what the radio would have been. Okay, control the pace, extend the stint as much as you can, Max, you're doing well. George is in DRS. Oh, you're 1.2 seconds, 1 second. Tires are starting to go off. When shall I come in? George is suddenly a second behind. DRS, half a second behind, out of turn 3, moves to the left. And he's got the inside run into 5. You can just see what would have happened. George would have got him, even if Max had got the lead on softs, in my opinion.
Yeah,
There's no way Max would have pulled away at a second a lap on softs because he had to extend the stint for as long as possible. So it had to be as easy as he could if he got the lead. So where was the upside in this choice of softs? Everybody's saying, "Oh yeah, it was the right tire. Got to do it. Got to go for these tiny things." Well, he had the whole race to win, and yet they blew it in 1 lap.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that risk was worth taking. I really don't.
I think. I understand you build a really good case, Peter. It's not the most that the expected value isn't the highest by going on softs, but it because it's Max and he's missed a dive bomb and into turn 1 and he's just done something similar at the Nordschleife. I'm not saying it was the right decision, but I understand why they make it at the altar of asymmetric risk. I get it. I don't think it was anywhere near as bad a decision as what they did in Barcelona.
I do, because I think they had a race potentially to win and they blew it. Oof. And I think it's just as bad. They may not have won Barcelona, but they could have been second or third. This one was a race win, potential race win. He had a very quick car, as we've just been talking, potentially quick enough to have got the pole. And he, bearing in mind it's Max Verstappen we're talking about, I think he could have won that race on medium hard combination. That was the right combination to be on. It was that was the best for the Red Bull as well. And the minute he didn't get the lead, it was just like, woo, all the air's gone out of the balloon.
It was done.
And it was just like, what are they thinking?